Hello, and welcome to Book Splash. It is the platform for book lovers, literary enthusiasts, and writers. So let's enjoy the moment again today as we take a peep into the world of books. I am Michael Olatunbosun, and I bid you welcome to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5, Ibadan. The book on the table today, according to the author, is autobiographical but not an autobiography. The book is titled Iroye, Stories from Childhood, written by Professor Olabode Lucas and published in 2019 by Sterling Horden Publishers in Ibadan. Professor Olabode Lucas is a retired professor of crop physiology and nutrition at the University of Ibadan. For over 50 years, he has been a regular contributor to topical issues in newspapers in Nigeria and South Africa. His other works include a novel, Split Image, and snapshots on some Nigerian and international events, a compilation of some of his articles in some Nigerian newspapers. Iroye is his latest work. The book, Iroye, Stories from Childhood, records events that took place around the author during his formative years at Iroye Street, Ilesha, in the 1950s. Thus, in 11 chapters and across 111 pages, Professor Olabode Lucas captures for the reader some of his personal recollections of things that happened in his family, school, immediate environment, and the nation at large. For instance, in the chapter titled The Egungun Terrorism, the author captures the unforgettable experience of a day when his mother brought a masquerade into their home to threaten him into helping his mother with house chores. Knowing his phobia for masquerades, his mother had to bribe the masquerade, who then threatened to take him to Igbonla if he refuses to help at home. Listen to the author's narration of this episode in the book. Before I could make any sense of the bewildering scene, the tall Egungun and my mother were in front of our house. The pace of my heart increased tenfold, and before I could look for a safer hiding place, I heard the Egungun calling me out. "Bode, where are you? Come out! I am taking you away today." To say that I was petrified would be a great understatement. I started to wonder what I had done to my mother to deserve a visit by the dreaded Egungun. In my confusion and fright, I went down like a frightened chicken to face the ferocious and whip-wielding Egungun with my mother standing by his side. In a throaty, guttural voice, the Egungun confronted me saying, "I understand you don't help your mother in the household chores. I am taking you away today to teach you sense and punish you for not helping your mother at home. I am taking you to Igbonla." I did not know when I lay flat in front of the Egungun, sweating profusely, muttering words I myself did not understand. With his menacing whip raised over me, he continued to put fear in me by saying, "Promise that from now on, you will be helping your mother to do household chores and that you will not play Toronto ball every time and that you will concentrate on your schoolwork." To all this, I replied that I would do anything my mother asked me to do. In my distress, I could see that my mother was enjoying every bit of my torture under the dreadful Egungun. From the voice of the Egungun, it seemed to me that he was not an Ijesha man, as he spoke to me in Oyo dialect. The whole episode lasted for less than 10 minutes, but the period appeared like an eternity of torture to me. Before going, he had a parting shot for me, designed to make me believe that he meant everything he said when he was torturing me. "I am coming back next week to get a progress report about your behavior from your mother. If you don't improve, you will not go to school again, as I will take you away permanently to Igbonla." After the parting shot, he left with my mother to the front of our house, where my mother handed him thorough 3p for his trouble of leaving his colleagues to come and do her bidding. My mother had taken advantage of the absence of my father, who was always in Lagos at that holiday period, to bring the Egungun to our house to terrorize me. I was sure that if my father had been at home, my mother would not have dared to bring Egungun to our house. You are still listening to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan, and I'm discussing the book Iroye, Stories from Childhood, written by Professor Olabode Lucas. In this work, the author reminisced about the Empire Day celebration, which was marked on 24th May then to showcase the splendor of the British Empire. After vividly describing the beauty, fanfare, and joy that characterized the celebration, the author lamented that the glamour which graced the Empire Day celebration ceased with it, as the Children's Day celebration of May 27 that replaced it is not as colorful as it should be. He suggests that government should incorporate all the ingredients that made Empire Day celebrations into planning. The author gives a peep into his family and how his father moved to Ilesha to co-found the Ilesha Grammar School. The author recalls that he was taken to Lagos for the first time in the 50s by his father, how he almost suffocated in a jam-packed room with all windows and doors securely locked. Even for an 8-year-old, the author's description of the psychology of Lagos of 1953 still hangs around us. He says of Lagos then that it was a place where, quote and unquote, everybody appeared to be in a hurry. In the work Iroye, Professor Olabode Lucas provides us a description of the beginnings of radio transmission in Ilesha with the Rediffusion box in 1953, which literally brought the world to Ilesha. The author recalls that the radio broadcasts opened the people to information and news from all over the world. He tells of the ecstasies that the news and sports broadcasts, musical programs and political programs generated among the young ones in Ilesha. In the book, the author narrated his experience of attending with his grandfather what turned out to be an election day outing. It was orderly and people went home after voting. That was the mode of the politics of the 1950s in Ilesha, where even colleagues at work contested against each other, and still continued to work together. The program is Book Splash, and I'm still discussing the book Iroye, Stories from Childhood, written by Professor Olabode Lucas. In this conversation, Professor Lucas speaks about why he wrote the book and laments the fact that young people are abandoning our culture. The title of your book suggests that it's the name of a street where you lived in Ilesha.
Yes.
Tell me about this work. First of all, what occasioned it?
As I said in the book, it was by accident. I went to teach my class, coincidentally on May 24, 2008. And my usual way to enliven the class, I say, in those days, today used to be celebrated as Empire Day. They were all astounded, looking at me like, who is this Jurassic man? What is he talking about? They didn't know anything. So I tried to explain to them that when we were young, before independence, we used to celebrate Empire Day, celebrating the British Empire, which is spread all over the world. Virtually, half of the world population was in British Empire. And I explained that in order to celebrate the empire, the British colonialists chose May 24. I said, from Nigeria to India to West Indies, everybody that day we celebrate. So the thing occurred to me that many of our young people they don't know what has happened in the past, because that is part of our history. Although we have Youth Day now, people don't even know when the Youth Day is celebrated. So that made me that at least I should put something down for future generation to know what has happened in the past, and people should be able to look at things around them. So that is the main reason why I put this. And I said it is not an autobiography. Although some people, my publisher say it's not an autobiography, but it's autobiographical. It is just narration of events that happened when I was growing up. Where I participated in some of them, but this per se is not my life history.
And you reported some of them?
Yes.
You were probably 7, 8, 9, 10, up to about 12 when these events happened.
Yes.
I was, really taken aback by your keen sense of, memory. You were able to recall things that happened in the 50s. When you consider the fact that young people of your age at that time will find it difficult to recall some of these things, what exactly do you think happened to young people of today?
Well, I thank God that give me retentive memory. I think that's one of my assets, and I thank God for that. Then secondly, I have to thank my father who whetted my appetite in looking at things around us, like giving me newspapers to read. From there, I developed interest in things happening around us. So that has always been my asset, that I can recall things, what has happened, and I won't forget. As I told you, I didn't consult any book. Unfortunately, some of our students, in fact, that's one of the reasons I said people don't take interest in what is happening. Whereas little things are happening, like Egungun. Egungun is still going on, but some of our people, young people, are not interested. But that is part of our culture. Like one of the things I said, in fact, one of the topic I chose there was this football. Now our people are so engrossed with English Premier League, as if it is the everything. But we used to have interest in football in those days, when football used to be played on town basis. Like Ilesha, everybody at Ilesha will go to the field. At Ibadan, in those days, everybody support his town's team. But now we have lost that, maybe because, like everything, people are not serious. We are now talking of EPL. So the reason I put this down, first, God hated me with retentive memory, and I want to put this down for posterity, for young people, and to even sensitize them to that they should be observant.
Okay, I want to go to one of the episodes you narrated in the work. Your first visit to Lagos.
Yes.
I found a lot of things very interesting in this place. There was a page, even as an 8-year-old, you described Lagos as a place where everybody appeared to be in a hurry.
Yes.
You are talking about Lagos of 1953.
Yes.
This is 2019. It looks like nothing has changed. Everybody is always in a hurry in Lagos.
You know, I was coming from the Ilesha,
yes,
a bit quiet, laid back.
Exactly.
Then now for you to get to a place where the vehicle was moving very fast, there are so many people on the street. Obviously, it was so fast for me. You see buses, you see people, you see glittering shops. So it was a change of atmosphere to me, but it has never changed. It's continued to be faster with the result that as I will say now in Lagos, there's a more or less a gridlock. Things are not moving well again. I understand some people can travel from Lekki to another, they can take 8 hours. That's why people put their children early in the morning. By 5 o'clock they are in the car to school. They don't come back home until them. So the pace is still very fast. So you have to pardon me, somebody coming from a laid-back atmosphere in Ilesha, coming to Lagos. Of course, I was dazzled. Even at that time, 1953.
Tell me about your childhood in Ilesha. Tell me about just a little of your childhood, the experiences you had in Ilesha and that have remained with you up to now.
It was a happy childhood because my father was a learned man, school teacher, senior tutor at Ilesha Grammar School, and I grew up in the atmosphere where my father was keeping a boarding house. People from Lagos, people from different parts of the country. In fact, in our house, it was education. And then our father allowed us to interact. Unlike nowadays, when everybody is caged in his house.
You grew up in a community.
Yes, a community where immediately we leave school after doing some reading. It's football in Toronto. We go and play. People in the street. I didn't say because my father is a learner from an educated family and I won't play with children of Osomalu. We are all the same. And even tomorrow, we are friends. In fact, when I launched this book, my childhood friend, Mr. Adesoji, came all the way from Lagos to relive some of the life we were having in those days. So it was a happy childhood. I thank God for that.
There's this part where you narrated how you acquired the nickname Sotenre.
Ah, yes.
You are a Lagosian, born, and you lived a large part of your life, the formative years in Ilesha.
Yes.
You still sound like an Ijesha man.
Yes. Where you grew up and you stay for 17 years, it can't leave you. And even there when I went to Lagos, it was only for 3 days. And then the one I went in 1960 was for 2 weeks. So all my life has been spent at Ilesha. And my mother is an Ijesha woman.
Oh, wow.
And the maternal side, they took me as they treat me like egg, so I interact with them. Even I sneak from the house to go to the farm with my maternal grandfather. So I'm already dying wood Ijesha man. Although my father is from Lagos. So
Sotenre
is Ijesha word. But if you have read, you know how it came about. Nigerian Broadcasting Service. Yes. They have this signature tune.
Yes.
This is Nigerian Broadcasting Service.
Yeah, I
understand it was composed by the late Tim Ede of Ede. So there was an important announcement. but I think the radio people were not ready. So for almost 10 minutes, it was just boom, 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 boom. And I say a very naughty boy there. I say, every signature was salt and rain in Ijesha means say what is in your mouth. Say, and my father was eagerly waiting for this announcement. I think it was the election result. So my father scolded me that I'm going to stoop down. So my brothers were all making jest of me, and they were calling me Soterure because my father scolded me, so they were happy. So every time they went down, they were spreading among our friends in the street, Soterure, Soterure. So that is how that one came about.
In the book, the author reports that he was introduced to the importance of tax paying early in life. He states that he and other students were taught about tax in school and what governments do with tax collected. Professor Olabode Lucas dedicates time and attention to showcasing the valuable lessons he and fellow students imbibed during their time at the popular Ilesha Grammar School. The work critically discusses the ever-controversial topic of census and exposes the deep-seated corruption that has come to be entrenched in the census of Nigeria. As a direct participant in the 1963 census, the author reports that it was marred by blatant, bold-faced fraud. For a perceptive reader, the work, Iroye, throws up a number of motives. The book draws our attention to the need for us to pay attention to the building in the young ones of today, strong ethical values, and also to encourage the learning of our history. The work exposes the need for understanding our culture and its strong link to hard work, strong character development, and the pursuit of education. Indeed, this work is a beautifully crafted work that is full of great doses of morals and values. It is also written in simple, easy-to-read English with a good splash of local imagery. You're still listening to Book Splash, and it's time to listen to the concluding part of my conversation with the author of the book, Iroye, Stories from Childhood, Professor Olabode Lucas. In this interview, he bears his mind on why people try to evade tax in Nigeria. He gives his thoughts on politics in Nigeria and the knotty issue of census in Nigeria. This chapter 7, it talks about tax collection in the 50s. You wrote in this book, and it really struck me that even in the 50s, people were running away from taxes. They were trying to evade taxes. I was just wondering, what exactly could be the missing link?
Everywhere, people don't like to pay tax. Let us get that. But in Europe, it is more or less like a crime. If you remember, a vice president of United States, Barrow Agnew, was removed because he didn't pay or he fiddled with his taxes. When I was in South Africa, when tax period is coming, people go around to help you to fill your tax form so as to make some gain so that you don't pay. So people try to pay less. Fortunately, over there, in Europe and even South Africa here, you see what the government is doing with the tax. In South Africa, when I was there, I was paying 40% of my salary as tax. But nobody complained because virtually everything, you see what the government is doing with the tax. The same thing with Europe. So over here in Nigeria, apart from poverty, in those days when I reported this, people were not having money. They depend on subsistence farming. So to pay tenancies may be a bit difficult. And moreover, as things go on now, people see that the money is being misappropriated by the government. That really give the incentive to people to pay tax. When you see what they are using your money for, you will have incentive to pay.
Tax payment is a matter of the law.
It's the law.
It's not a matter of incentive.
That is supposed to be. But when I say to be encouraged to pay, how many people will be happy that the legislator are getting 50 million every month and they can't pay 30,000 minimum wage to people? And you will say that those people would like to pay tax? As long as people don't see what the government is using the tax money for, whether it's law or no law, they will not pay. They will be forced to pay, but they will dodge. And then let me tell you something. Some people are paying tax. The government officials are not allowing the money to get to government. But the government too is taxing too much. Like VAT now. Silently they have increased it. Yesterday when I was in the petrol station, I understand POS too is attracting tax. So people are being taxed. It's only this direct taxation. Let me tell you something. When Awolowo wanted to introduce free education, they said they should pay tenancies, capitation fees, tax. The NCNC, the opposition, used it against him. And they lost the 1954 election. Now, after some time, they saw the value of this capitation that is giving their children free education. Many big people today went to free education. So when you see what your tax is being used for, you will pay.
So what do you think the government needs to do now? Are you talking about being more transparent and more accountable?
You have used the word transparent and more responsive to their duty. If the government has been responsive to their duty, the people will pay.
You attended Ilesha Grammar School for years.
Yes.
From 1958 to 62.
Yes.
Afterwards, you went to Lagos.
Yes.
You said that Ilesha Grammar School, you learned tolerance, you learned to appreciate academic excellence, and the rest of it. There was one that struck me: the politics of that time. The dominant parties then, NCNC and Action Group. They were in serious rivalry, but there was no bloodshed at that time. You even recalled how you went to a voting on election day.
Yes.
You followed your grandfather to vote, and he just voted, and they went back home, and then the result was announced in the evening, and that was it. It's not like today.
It's simple. There is so much money in politics now. In those days, as I say, it's more or less part-time. My principal was a member of the House of Representatives. Was he our principal? Many of them were a member of House of Representatives. They were still working through them. And this thing started as we were getting to independence. I remember a friend, he failed his A-level. The next thing he said, I'm going to politics. I'm not doing any academic work again. How can you say politics is a business? In those days, it is like a part-time and service to humanity. I'm not saying everything was perfect then, no. There was still some thuggery, but this money aspect was not there at that time. You will be laughing to the bank if you get 50 million every month. I've been the happiest person. That is why they kill themselves to get there. Whereas in those days, they were being paid allowances. They meet mostly around twice a year for budget session and for supplementary in October. I observe all this politics like they do. It was not do or die.
Would you be on the same page then with some people who are suggesting that we should go to part-time legislature or maybe scrap one arm of our bicameral?
I've written that in some of my newspaper articles. As I was telling you, we need democracy. But the cost of democracy we are having is too much. Even in America, people go there because they already made their money. They want to make claim, not money. The same thing in Britain. You get your salary commensurate with what is going on. They live among the people. They use small cars. But here, immediately you are in politics, you have made it.
We're still discussing the book, Iroye, Stories from Childhood. I want to go to the very last chapter of this work, which talks about the 1963 National Census. You wrote here, census is a contentious and divisive issue in Nigeria. It is so because census figures are needed to allocate parliamentary seats to each of the states in the country, and in effect, they determine which zone or section dominates the country politically. Also, in the present dispensation, where revenue allocations are not based on derivation but skewed towards population size, census figures have assumed a very important factor. So you gave us, a background to the things that come together to have impact on the results of census in this country, and you particularly gave us the role that you played in the 1963 census. Every time we have failed to successfully conduct census in this country, like you said, it's politicized and for the purpose of revenue, allocation and the rest of it. Can we ever get census right in this country?
The answer is emphatic no. Because of what I've said, people now have opened their eyes that it is determining who governs this country. Right from I don't know whether it's a mistake of 1953 when first census which the white people conducted and gave slight advantage to the north. Since that time, they have been trying to increase the advantage, especially in the north. This 1963 census followed the war of 1962. Mm-hmm. The 1962 one, which people say the south was they have more people than the north. That was crisis.
From a leaked result.
It was leaked, but it's authentic. It's authentic, but because the people who are controlling Lagos that time, the federal, they didn't want that because it will change the political dynamics of the country. That's why they did the 966Z. And as you must have read, it was filled with inaccuracies on both sides. For example, in the north, the first thing that happened, I woke up in the night. I saw these boys filling the form, and I went to challenge them. This thing is supposed to be the de facto censor, as we were told in the south when we were coming. Everybody woke up. They say, well, we know all of us are Hausa, Fulani, all of us are Muslim. We are filling those columns. This was wrong. We all woke up. And I'm sure who was our overall supervisor in the north came. Unfortunately, all the southerners, instead of supporting me, they were blaming me. Nobody supported me. That's why the fact that I pointed out that this thing was wrong.
You were trying to fight a battle that was bigger than you.
Very much bigger. You know, I was young. I was only 18 or so. I didn't know the danger. But I couldn't sleep well. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? So immediately I fell asleep. Somebody just tapped me. Said, pack your load. They already got 2 men with a donkey. He said I should go to, they transfer me to another place, which is more or less even in Niger, because they were spending Niger money. They didn't even know that. They called the place Koton Koroshi, so that was my punishment. But just to tell you that there is no accurate census. And now that it has been factored into revenue allocation and political domination, there can be no accurate census. We can deceive ourselves. In fact, the military regime of Babangida, apart from they are not satisfied with the population with respect to revenue, they put land mass because the north has more land mass. So our problem is we don't have leaders. Nigeria has not been blessed with leaders right from independence. That's the sad thing about this our good country.
But these leaders you are talking about come from amongst our people as well.
They come among our people because they don't allow the good people to come up.
Is it not about numbers? It's about numbers.
You are coming to what I've said.
I mean, it is democracy.
You are coming to democracy is a skill democracy. I'm not saying the leaders can only come from the south. Aminu Kano could be a good leader. I can count hundreds of people from the north who can put this country forward. They were not allowed. Because when I was saying, people say I'm a taker of Awolowo. There are many people. So there are leaders spread all over the country. But they are not given chance. All right, if you are a good, like many of us have ideas, how to, in our only 2 ways we have contributed to one way. Are we ready to join the bad rank of politicians who can kill, who can steal money? So we have leaders, but they are not given opportunity until things change that true leader emerge.
How can a true leader emerge if all the good people are standing aloof? I thought that the best way to take over the space, for good people to take over the space, is for them to join the fray and crowd out the bad people.
They will squeeze them out. They will squeeze them out. They will not give them chance. They will not give them chance. They didn't give Awolowo a chance. They didn't give Aminu Kano a chance. They didn't give, what is the name of this? Bokugo Okoye in the east. They didn't give him chance. Did they give Enaro a chance? Enaro, who at the age of 20-something have been involved in politics, have been moving independence motion. And when he moved independent motion in 1953, some people, they wanted to secede. So they didn't give them a chance. And that is why we are here. And how can you tell me the country like Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world? How do you explain that before the thing we have?
In this book, you didn't give us any of your escapades. I was wondering, were you overly, utterly saintly in this work?
I am not saint, but I told you the thing covers up to age of 15.
Okay.
The only story outside that age of 15 was the census. Because I wanted people to know about the census. Age of 1 to 15 is too early to have any escapades. So I'm not a saint.
So, Prof, when are you writing another memoir, for instance?
No, I don't want to write any autobiography. This is just events. Maybe we may say events that happen after. So I'm not a saint, but between one, at the age of 15, you don't expect me to have any unnecessary escapades. Although I used to run away to play ball.
Professor Olabode Lucas, thank you for your time, sir.
I'm happy. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Professor Olabode Lucas, author of the book Iroye, Stories from Childhood. If you did, then please join me next week same time for another edition of Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan. If you have any comments or queries, please send me a text message on 0805-699-8676 or email Olatunbosun at splashfm1055.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Tumbosun. I thank you for listening. And thanks too to my sound manager, Victor Daudu. I am Michael Olatunbosun. I urge you to read the book today.